Hello, this is going to be a quick review for Unit 7, Quiz 3. We are going to graph each system, but first we're going to have to put each equation into y equals mx plus b form. I don't have a theme for this one because I want to keep this short and sweet. You will have some independent practice to do after this video. Here we go. Our first equation, y minus x equals 0. We need to get the y by itself. So the way that we're going to get the y by itself is we are going to add x to both sides. So what this means is y equals x. If you want to put y equals x plus 0, that might be helpful for you to understand what your m and your b is. What is your m? 1 over 1. It's a positive slope. And your b is that thing we wrote in blue. It's 0. So your line will cross the graph at y equals 0. Moving on to your second equation, it's a little bit more complex, but not a big deal. Again, the idea is that we want to get the y by itself. What are we going to do? We are going to subtract 3x from both sides. So on the left, I have y equals. Now recall, at the end, you want to make it y equals mx plus b. And you are looking at these two terms right here. You cannot combine like terms. This has an x and this does not. So it is not negative 7x. Instead, if this is supposed to be mx, this is your x, write that down there. So y equals negative 3x, and then negative 4 is your b. So m equals negative 3 over 1, and b equals negative 4. Both of those are now in the form y equals mx plus b, so we can go to graph it. I'm going to start with this over here. I said my m is 1 over 1 and my b is 0. So put a point at 0 and you're going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. That will take us on the right-hand side of the graph. What do I do to go on the left side of the graph? Reverse it. Okay. So that is the graph of y equals x. Now I'm going to look at the graph on the right. Y equals negative 3x minus 4. My m is negative 3 over 1. My b is negative 4. So where y is negative 4, put a point. Unfortunately, I cannot go down 3. But please know your slope is negative. You know your slope is negative because your slope is negative 3 over 1. So in the long run, your slope needs to be pointed downwards. But we are going to have to reverse it on the left side of our equation. So we're going to go up 3 back 1. Up 3, back 1. I know I did a correct job of graphing because as I read my graph from left to right, it points downwards. Where do they cross? Well, they cross right here. So that means that my solution to the system is -1, -1. Next, we have 2y minus 3x equals -10, and 2x minus y equals 6. Let's start off by putting this into our y equals mx plus b form. What moves first? Okay, we're going to move the -3x by adding 3x to both sides. So on the left, I have 2y equals, again, this is an x, this doesn't have an x. You cannot combine like terms. So we're going to write it in the y equals mx plus b form. We are almost there. What is the last thing I need to do? Divide by 2. Don't forget, you have to divide the entire thing by 2. Y equals 3 divided by 2x. Leave it as a fraction because that is your slope. And then -10 divided by 2. What is that? -5. So we're looking for your m and we're looking for your b. B is -5. M is 3/2. Your slope is positive, so it should go upward. Last equation. 2x minus y equals 6. What is the first thing we're gonna do? Subtract 2x. So this means I have -y equals -2x plus 6. I know we are not done yet because the y is not by itself. If there is not a number in front of the variable, what is always, always, always hanging out? A 1. So we need to divide by -1 to get the y by itself, because this is -1 times y. The y is by itself because those cancel. Now you have to be careful. -2 divided by 1. A negative divided by a negative is a positive 2x. And then you have 6 divided by -1. It makes it -6. So that is our equation. Y equals 2x minus 6. We're looking for our m, which is 2/1, and our b, which is -6. we're going to go ahead and graph them. I'm going to start with this over here on the left. B is -5. We're going up 3 over 2. Should look something like that. And then our second equation, our m is 2 over 1, and our b is -6. So we still have a positive slope. Okay, so our b is -6, so put a point there. We are going up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. This kind of shows you the importance of using a ruler because it almost looks like they cross in 2 points, but they don't. They cross right in here. Your graph probably looks a little bit better than mine. So your answer is 2, -2. That is where they cross. It almost looks a little bit different, but both points are plotted at 2, -2. Okay, so I always have questions. Will your study guide look like your quiz? This isn't really a study guide. This is a review. And you will have independent work that is due tomorrow. Here is what your quiz will look like. There will be 6 questions where you're just putting it into y equals mx plus b form. There will be 4 questions when you're putting it into y equals mx plus b form and then graphing it. So there's 10 questions. If the lines are parallel, meaning they look like this, they go on forever, and they never touch when you graph them, then you have no solution. But if the line is the same, then what do you have? Infinite solutions. Those questions will show up on your quiz tomorrow. Go ahead and get the independent practice to get your good practice in before tomorrow's quiz.